Welcome to part 7 on this multi-part series and how I developed this mixed media work. Today we're going to work with loss and gain. Now that I've got this background laid out, I'm going to start working on the subject matter here itself, the bonsai tree. And I'm going to do the same that I kind of did in the background. I'm going to, almost in a sense, destroy the image. I'm going to go back over it with a technique. It's a printmaking technique where you ink something and then you draw on the back of it. Now, traditionally, you ink a plate, you put the drawing on top of it, and then you draw on the back. And then when you pull it up, you're going to have your reverse image. In this case, I'm going to go directly onto the paper. And I'm going to do that by using, just using a plastic bag. And I'll just cut little squares out of this plastic bag. And then I'll put paint on that. So I'll just put paint on that. And then I'll lay that on top of it and I'll draw on the back of this paper with the marks that I'm going to do. I got inspired to do this. This is something I learned in college, this printmaking technique, but I got inspired to do this from a YouTube channel by the name of Dan Tirels. And I'll put a link in the page to his site just to give him credit, because it sparked my interest on how I can use that technique for what I'm doing here. So basically that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a darker, something darker first. So I'm just going to use a Payne's Gray and some burnt umber. Because what I'm going to first do is I'm going to do the trunk area and some of the branching area. So you see how there's very little control. Again, I'm trying to get some expressions in mark making here. But very little control. And it really somewhat destroys your image that you have. This is part of responding, right? I'm creating a scenario where I can respond to the imagery and then bring the imagery back. So this is, I call this loss and gain. So I'm losing the image right now, and then I will gain it back. Now I like mixing on the back of this until I can't do it anymore. And right now I added a burnt sienna. Some cadmium orange. I don't know if that might be just a little bit too, yeah, that's just a little bit too light. Some cad red deep. I think I need to work on the foliage now. So what really am I doing here? What is the purpose? One is I'm pretty much obliterating the image, and I'm doing that on purpose because I want to create the sense of marking and energy. You know, I'm activating the space. I will be going back and cleaning this up. So we'll see that as we progress in these videos. But right now what I'm doing is I'm going from light to dark, from cool to warm, these warm areas, these cool areas. So I'm playing with light and dark, warm and cool to create this somewhat pattern of the tree, this more expressive idea of the tree is what I'm doing. And so the dark here is just adding in some definition so I know where I'm at when I go on to the next stage. But I think that's what I want when it comes to this loss, the loss of the image. Okay, I think I'm going to work with this kanji now and bring this kanji out. When we were looking at all the colors, this is the color swashes that I have and that I've used throughout here. And I think what I'd like to do, if I look at all the colors, I think I'd like to reintroduce the gray to the kanji. So probably a little bit darker than this, but definitely this kind of gray. So let's see if we can mix that up. Okay, so the most basic way to do that is to take I'm going to take some Payne's gray, and I'm going to take some white, and I'm going to look at creating the value. Just mixing the value. White, gray, and as I look at it, I'm probably in about that value, but you notice how much warmer this is than that? So let's make it a little bit warmer. And I think I'll do that I'll make that warmer with some cadmium red light. So that warms it up nicely. Also, one thing is with acrylics, when they dry darker. So you always have to consider that. They suggest you don't actually mix with your brush. That if you're really going to do it properly, you mix it with a palette knife. So I'll do a little of that. Move it more to the center here. Way too dark. Not too bad, pretty close. I mean, it's going to have to be a little darker than this, but we really have to be, you can see it's still a lot cooler. So we really need to warm it up. A little lighter. So I'm going to use some orange. Kind of an orange warmth. If it actually gets too warm, I'll throw in a green, and you'll see how the magic of these colors work. It's not bad if I really make it lighter. Let's get some more of that white. Getting to the end of my white here. Oh, I think that's just about right. Yep. Yeah, I think that's just about right. So let's see how that looks. Now what I have is I have the stencil, the old stencil. So we're going to put that stencil down. I'm going to secure that down. Obviously this is all dry. Okay, and I'm going to stencil this color in, this kanji in here. But I'm going to do it loosely. I'm just dabbing it in. Okay, let's see how that turns out. Interesting. I think I would go back later on. But I think this is okay to take this to the next stage. There was a little register problem with the stencil, but that's okay. It's all fixable. And this color in here needs, we need to think about that a little bit more. But I think that's okay. I think now I can take it in to the next stage of development. And that next stage is actually bringing the image back out, defining the background more, getting the kanji to integrate. So now we get into the point where we're really going to start responding to what I've created here and start bringing this image out. Hope you enjoyed that. Part 8 will be on how I bring the image back using pastels. I'd really appreciate a like and subscribing to my channel, as well as if you would like to support me, you can do that on Patreon. I often post on Instagram my artwork as well as bonsai work. But I'd like to leave you with the idea that art is a journey. It's important to enjoy the process.